We saw some situations where, like, Caitlin's stuck guarding Kelsey, and Kelsey's, knocking her off the ball, and Caitlin gets called for a foul, and she starts yelling at the refs, like, she's grabbing me, and all of the coaches from WNBA teams who were sitting there watching are just cracking up. Kelsey had one situation where she sort of finished through traffic. She'd been struggling a little bit, got through to the hoop, just like yells right in like Becky Hammon and Nikki Fargas's face, and they're just like cracking up. Like,
watch the body language closely. Kelsey Plum is knocking Caitlin Clark off the ball, while Caitlin is yelling at the referees about being grabbed, all as every WNBA coach in the building cracks up. This isn't just a scrimmage. It's a full-blown battle for an Olympic roster spot, unfolding in real time at the USA basketball training camp in North Carolina. According to Sabrina from The Athletic, who was inside the gym, what unfolded over those 3 days might have completely shifted the conversation around Olympic team selection. From her description of Caitlin's performance, it's clear we're not talking about a player merely hoping to make the team. We're talking about a player who has already proven she belongs.
Being back on the court, you also got a quote out of Sue Bird about her being impressed with Caitlin just being engaged while she was out and getting back to being able to play. A little bit about what Caitlin looked like on the court, how much fun she was having, how important it was. And then someone else, Angel Reese on the other side, talking about Chicago. That was the article I was not expecting.
Yeah, so we'll start with Caitlin. Obviously, she suffered just a bevy of injuries in her sophomore season, played her last game on July 15th, even before All-Star Weekend. This was her first real 5-on-5 action since.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Caitlin Clark hasn't played competitive basketball since July 15th, 2024, when plantar fasciitis sidelined her for the rest of the Indiana Fever season. That meant no games, no 5-on-5 action, just months of recovery and rehabilitation. In contrast, the 4 Phoenix Mercury players at the camp didn't finish their season until September 11th, putting them on a completely different timeline and level of game conditioning. So when Sabrina describes seeing Caitlin in live game situations again, she's talking about a player who's been off the court longer than anyone else, jumping straight into FIBA-level physicality. And that's significant because FIBA basketball is even more physical than the WNBA, a league that spent all of 2024 debating whether the contact against Caitlin Clark crossed the line.
It was a combination of like USA players going against USA players, and then also USA players going against the scout team, which was just like players from small colleges all across North Carolina sort of helping out with that scout team practice. And she looked like Caitlin.
Pay close attention to what she said about those passes. Caitlin Clark was threading the ball to bigs who weren't always sure what to do with it, like Eric and Boali, who caught the ball, brought it down, and got blocked because it wasn't exactly where she expected it to be. This isn't a criticism of Eric. It's what happens when you're playing with a facilitator operating on a completely different level. Chelsea Gray delivers beautiful, stylish passes that are fun to watch, but Caitlin's passes come with a different kind of intelligence. She doesn't just get you the ball. She puts it precisely where your hands need to be so you can catch and finish in one motion without hesitating or giving the defense time to react. That's advanced facilitating, thinking multiple steps ahead, not just about where the ball goes, but how it needs to arrive. When you play with someone like Aaliyah Boston regularly, that chemistry develops naturally. But when Caitlin was playing with Eric for the first time at a training camp, there was a learning curve. And yet, Sabrina specifically noted that Caitlin was making passes that even elite WNBA players didn't expect. All of this was happening under FIBA-level physicality, which is far more aggressive than WNBA standards. And Caitlin, still ramping up after plantar fasciitis that cost her 2 months of her sophomore season, was competing against players trained to handle the intensity of international basketball. Remember all the debates during the 2024 season about whether the contact against Caitlin was excessive, the flagrant fouls, body checks, and whether rookies were being targeted. FIBA rules make that level of physicality look soft, allowing more contact and more aggressive defense. Yet, according to Sabrina, Caitlin handled it well, even though she was the most out-of-game shape player at the entire camp.
Like the step back three was there, the passes were there. When she was not playing with Aaliyah Boston, some of the bigs didn't know what to do with her passes. Like there was one time where she passed it to Hamby, and Hamby like brought the ball down. It's like, you can't do that. Like this is not.
You gotta keep it up.
You have to keep it up, right?
Right up, right.
Just like not expecting, where that was coming. But FIBA, naturally, just a lot more physical than other levels of basketball.
Now listen to this. The step-back three was still there. The same signature move that broke the NCAA scoring record, carried seamlessly into the WNBA, and became one of the most unguardable shots in women's basketball. It was working even against USA basketball's top defenders. But what Sabrina highlights next is even more important. Caitlin was genuinely happy to be there, taking the time to speak with teammates and appreciating the chance to just be part of the basketball process. That says a lot. After a sophomore season cut short by injury in July, after watching the playoffs from home, and after months of rehabilitation and uncertainty, Caitlin Clark arrived at this camp and reminded everyone exactly who she is, not through trash talk or drama, but through performance. With that step-back three, with passes that made elite players look unprepared, and with the ability to compete at FIBA-level physicality while still working her way back into game shape, she made it clear that her presence and her skill cannot be overlooked.
Physicality was interesting considering how long she's been out and the fact that she's still ramping up injury-wise, but she looked good. She was just so happy to be there and was individually telling media members how nice it was just to talk to them again and that she was just part of the basketball process.
Go back and watch that interaction with Kelsey Plum. These are two players battling for the same position, both thriving on intense competitive energy. Kelsey Plum has even told Spike Lee to speak up so she could hear the trash talk louder, while Caitlin Clark spent her college career feeding off opposing crowds, silencing them with her performance. According to Sabrina's report, that same dynamic played out at this camp. Kelsey knocking Caitlin off the ball, Caitlin immediately calling out the refs for missed calls, and WNBA coaches watching and laughing because they knew exactly what they were seeing. Two elite guards going at each other with everything they have. And what this revealed is clear. Caitlin Clark isn't at this camp hoping to impress anyone. She's competing for a roster spot against one of the best guards in the WNBA and holding her own, even while being the most out-of-game shape player in the building.
Clark been an absolute beast at the training camp. Shout out to her, man. Now, I already kind of knew Kelsey Plum and Caitlin Clark were going to be going after it. All right, those are two players battling for that one position, right? And these are two players that absolutely asked crowds to give it to them.
Kelsey Plum was finishing through traffic after a tough sequence, yelling right in Becky Hammond's and Nikki Collins' faces, while the coaches just cracked up. Classic Kelsey, they said, respect, recognition of a player's competitive fire. But Sabrina also highlighted something else. The storylines from the WNBA season carried straight into this camp. Caitlin and Kelsey were going at each other. Caitlin was getting frustrated with the refs, and players brought the same intensity that defined the 2024 season into these scrimmages. That continuity matters because it shows this isn't exhibition basketball. This is real competition with real stakes. Carl Lawson was watching. USA basketball staff were evaluating. WNBA coaches were observing. And every player in that gym knew that performances at this camp could directly influence Olympic roster decisions.
Some situations where Caitlin's stuck guarding Kelsey and Kelsey's, knocking her off the ball and Caitlin gets called for a foul and she starts yelling at the refs she's grabbing me, and all of the coaches from WNBA teams who were sitting there watching are just cracking up. Kelsey had one situation where she sort of finished through traffic. She'd been struggling a little bit, got through to the hoop, just yells right in Becky Hammond and Nikki Fargas's face, and they're just cracking up.
Here's why this is so significant. When USA Basketball left Caitlin Clark off the 2024 Olympic roster, the official explanation focused on roster construction, veteran experience, and the need for players who had been to the program before. The decision sparked massive controversy, with fans arguing that the league's biggest star and most exciting player deserved a spot regardless of experience. But that choice came before Caitlin had played a single WNBA game, before she averaged 19 points and 9 assists in her first 5 games as a rookie, before she recorded a triple-double, before she proved that her college success translated seamlessly to the professional level. Now, in January 2025, Caitlin has a full WNBA season under her belt. Even with injuries that cut her season short, she's demonstrated she can compete professionally, develop chemistry with teammates, and experience playoff-level intensity. According to this training camp report, she's showing USA Basketball exactly what they missed. The step-back three working against elite defenders, passing vision that surprises even WNBA veterans, competitive fire that has her yelling at refs during scrimmages, and the ability to perform at 5-level physicality despite being the most out-of-game shape player in the gym. This isn't a player hoping to make the team. It's a player reminding everyone why leaving her off the 2024 roster was a mistake. Sabrina's report makes it clear that Caitlin Clark left a strong impression at this camp.